Hey guys, and welcome back to the HobbyDude 007 channel. As you may recall, our Saturday night short track group build Mustang is going to require custom-made decals. And for this, we're going to get our friends Terry and Patrice over at STS Decals to make us some. Now, what's involved with getting custom-made decals for a project? Let me share with you. Bring your model to life with MCV products. Visit them on the World Wide Web at mcvproducts.net. If you're not familiar with STS Decals, I'll give you a little background about the company and the folks involved there. My first time I ever heard of them was on a video from Tim, our buddy at Throttle Power, and he gave a background on them, and I was kind of impressed with what he had to say and that he showed at a couple of shows that he had run into them at. My first personal exposure to them was at the CKM show a few years ago in Clemens, North Carolina, and I was impressed. They had a very professionally set up booth. They had their banner, decals, all kinds of tools in addition to the decals, but they made decals for stuff that you may not know exists. They also had on hand a catalog which had pictures of the custom-made decals for models that they had done for other clients, as well as some die casts and models on display that Terry had built that had some of their decals on them. But really cool stuff. Terry and Patrice each have probably 20-25 years of experience in embroidery, signs, screen printing, that kind of stuff. And Terry has a passion for model cars too. So this is right up their alley. Turned it into a great business. If you recall, the BG's Taco Supremo 55 USAC build I did this past year had the Mexican blankets for the seats. Well, that's part of theirs too. And by the way, in addition to the decals of the Mexican blankets, they also do the actual cloth in a couple of patterns. One of the unique things I always think it was cool that they were sharing with me is every show they go to, they try to have a new decal that is just a special for that show. Whether it's a different pattern Mexican blanket or a new striping kit for a particular car, just something new and unique just for that show. So there's something special there. Now, every purchase you make, you get a bag that has your decals in it, and it includes everything you see here. The info on the business, and I'm getting ahead of myself here. This QR code you can scan right there, guys, and that goes to Terry's Model Rod Shop. Terry, one of the owners of STS here, his YouTube channel. And in that channel, he does a video on how to use a micrometer to measure for custom decals. And I'm going to cover a little bit of that again today, but he's got a really comprehensive video on there too, so check him out. And check out his YouTube channel, and as always, give him a thumbs up, give him a sub, show him some support. Also in the bag is an instruction sheet. I'm going to get to that in a second. Is an instruction sheet for the application of decals. Now, for most of us who have been around decals and model cars for as many years as me, pushing 65, we know how a water slide decal works. But keep in mind, not everybody has the experience that many of us do. So instructions are sometimes needed. And besides that, being around models and different manufacturers and different decal companies, we all know that they react differently. Some need warm water, some just tempered water. Some say don't use setting solutions. It just depends on the manufacturer and also how old the decals are as to how quickly they release from the backing. I've had some sit in warm water for 20 minutes and still need a little bit more time to get loose. They're just so old. So it's always good to have a little bit of background on the product that you're using. And they were kind enough to include some instructions there. And you know, a lot of decals, when they're customed, they ask you to shoot a clear coat over them before cutting them out and using them. And with theirs, you do not need to do that. Clear coating decals does not need clear. So they're right up front, you know that. And with theirs, it's room temperature distilled water, no big deal. And you've got the neon back. And by the way, all of their decals have the white backing on them, so you don't get the bleed through. And it's just something just that they didn't have to include, but they did, instead of just assuming everybody knows how decals work. And for the newbies, that's a helpful thing too. Now, for the custom-made decals, also in the bag is some instructions on how to order your custom stuff. And a lot of it is just like you would think. And by the way, there's the QR code for that. But I do encourage you to go over to STSDecals.com and just check out the website and see some of the stuff they've got. It's really good. For custom-made decals, you just send the picture or a sketch of whatever your design that you want them to make. Get them that and get the measurements and width, height, that kind of stuff, typical. Now, this I really thought was cool, and when Terry and I were talking about it too, he's going to send you a quote. Once you approve the quote, you'll get your PayPal invoice, and then you're going to receive a design for approval from him. And what he was saying is, print that off and check it. Check the fit from the measurements you sent him and make sure everything is good before your final approval. And if he needs to make any adjustments after you get those little tweaks, when you cut them out, if they're a little too big or too small, you send him the adjustment information and he'll make those adjustments. And he'll send you that back again. You check it again, and then they'll do the production and get it shipped to you. And they also want you to send pictures for their catalog there, or their scrapbook of as well as their Facebook and Instagram, so they can post pictures of your work. But really cool stuff, and it's a simple process. So what I wanted to do today is go ahead and show you how I did the Mustang, how I measured it, and just how simple this is, guys, and also the decals for the fuel cell, that kind of stuff. How simple it is, and so you don't need to be intimidated by it. All right, let me switch the camera around here, and I'll show you that. Okay, guys, so we're ready to get our measurements now for our custom decals. Got my Post-it notes, got my ink pen, so we are ready to go. Put them over here. And first up, let's go ahead and get the, and remember, we're doing this in millimeters. And if you've got a dial caliper, you can usually set these things to inches and millimeters. So we're going to do millimeters. And first up, let's get the width of our door number, as you see here. And we are going to, how I did this, guys, is I took a look at where the A-pillar is here in relation to right where this door kind of, as you see where it starts to slant down, where the number lines up right there. Just study your pictures really good. And I'm going to start about 20. That's not going to be big enough. Let's go to 30 millimeter. Let's see, that's right in that curvature, and it's right to this part of the A-pillar. So I'm going to say the width of the number is about 30 millimeter. And again, when he sends the proof, we'll be able to check that against it and make sure it looks okay. And let's get our height. So we got 30 millimeter width, and our height, that's about, and again, that's going to be based on right there where that curvature is in the body. I'm going to come down. That just don't look quite big enough. Let's come down a little more, because that looks like, as you remember, a pretty good size number. Let's set it to roughly 17 millimeter and see how that looks. Oh yeah. So 30 by 17 millimeter. Yeah, 17 millimeter height. And I know one side it should be the same, but I'm going to go ahead and check it anyway. Come on, the 30 millimeter. Yeah, I think that's going to be great. So jot that down here. 30 millimeter width, 17 millimeter high. Okay, let's do that roof number now. And it's relatively a small roof number, but what I'm thinking about is, since that's 30 millimeter, let's do 33. We just want it slightly bigger because it does look a little bit smaller. Sorry about that, guys. I'm getting off camera there a little bit. 33 millimeter. Oh, it looks kind of small. Let's try 34. If I can get it to 30, let's see. I think 34 millimeter would be about right, because we set that. So our width is 34 millimeter there, and again it's small. And if we base it on 30 by 17 on the door, if we take that and kind of calculate that down, that should take it to about the width of, let's say, 21. And I know that for most stock cars that looks kind of narrow, but this thing, if you remember the roof picture, as you see here, is kind of narrow anyway. So I think 34 by 21 millimeter, I think that's going to work just fine. Okay, all right, let me grab the back bumper here. Let me jot that down. 34 width by 21 height. Okay, on our back panel, as you see here, is the word 4, and that Ford is in silver and with a red outline. Now, to get this right, we're going to put our bumper on here so we can make sure that we get the right width. I don't know. Let's see, right about. That's about 4. I'll tell you what, let's go to 5 millimeter. Let's set her to 5 mil. Well, 5 millimeter. Get that bumper back on there again. Oh, perfect, man. Look at that. Perfect. And it gives just a touch of space on the top and bottom there for that Ford. So that's 5 millimeters height. Jot that down here, 5 mil. And let's see. And as you see here, we don't want it to get too far out of the way. So let's try let's try 32 millimeter and just see how that looks. 32 mil, that's our width, so we don't need the bumper for that. Oh, check that out. Right on, right on. Okay, so our width is going to be 32 millimeter by 5 millimeter. Okay, and get that out of the way. All right, next up is going to be Lonnie's name, and as we see in this picture, that goes from just width-wise, let's try 15 millimeter. Sorry guys, off camera there again. That started right about here on the A-pillar. And I think that needs to be, let's go to 16 millimeter. Much better, much better. So we'll make that 16 millimeter by Let's see, zero that thing out again. I'm sorry guys, I keep getting off camera there a little bit. Let's go 3mm and see how that looks. I think 3mm is going to be spot on. So, okay, 16mm width and 3mm high. And the red stripes that you see here, Terry said he would take a stab at those, and I'm thinking 1mm probably would be good for those. So let's go down and take a look against the, okay, we've got 1mm and that separation stripe between the silver and then of course they'll run right down through here as well. I think 1mm is going to be perfect. And then of course the silver that comes down the hood there, that runs right along the edge. Yeah, I think that's going to be good. All right, so our stripe's going to be 1mm. All right, 1 mil. Now, next for the fuel cell, we've got a decal that is the fuel safe racing cells. And my buddy Clay Kemp sent me the artwork for what he did. And I'll probably just go ahead and send that over to them, let them print that for me. But just to give you an idea how we would do that, let's take a look here. Between the plate there, that's going to need to be a little bigger than that. Let's go to 2 mil and see how that looks. 2mm. Oh, perfect. So 2mm for a fuel safe, just the word fuel safe, that would be right. Let me get it where I'm not hitting the thing there. Yep. Between the strap and the housing there, or the mount. 2mm by, I'm going to say 8. I think 8.5. Yeah, 8.5 would be a little bit better. So yeah, that'll work. Now down here on the side of the cells, what you see again here is the just the scripts from the manufacturer. And for that, we'll want to go, well, it would need to be 8.5, same thing we just did as far as the width goes here. And then the depth, probably for that whole thing, let's try 4.5. Because it needs to be wider than it is deep. Okay, 4.5, yeah, because that would be right down at the bottom of the fuel cell there. Or it could have been mounted at the top. It just depends on the cell, I'm sure. Okay. And guys, honestly, that's it. That's all the decals we're going to have made. Get that all sent off to Terry and Patrice and let them work their magic. Let me move some stuff around. I'll be right back. Just that short and easy. We've got all our dimensions on the body, and we've got those written down here, our door numbers, 20mm by 17mm and so on. So we've got everything down here that we would want to get. And in that we're going to be doing the 69 version of this car down the road, I went ahead and took these same measurements on our 69 body and went back and measured everything, used these to match it up. Everything is exactly the same. The only difference will be when I do this one, I will need to change the roof number, because as you can see, this is a much longer roof than the 69 is, and it really there's a difference there. So this one's going to need to be, the width is going to need to be a little narrower. But when I reorder these decals to do the 69 version of that car, everything else will be the same. We'll need to change that roof number. Other than that, everything else was spot on. And now all I'll do is email that in, and again, we'll just let them do their thing. And as soon as they get back in, I will share that with you. I know they're a little backed up right now. I'm not in that big a rush anyway. But I'll be eager to share those with you when they get here. And hopefully I'll have the body prepped by then and everything ready to go. All right, guys, that is it. Be sure to head over and check out HobbyNut Models as always. Hope you all have an awesome weekend. God bless you, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks, guys.